Alright, so welcome to Espresso Shots. My name is John. I'm filming from the Cottage Coffee House in beautiful downtown Westport on this little bit of a wet Monday, and I saw Robin Jones this morning walking her dog in the rain.
Yeah, smiling.
And smiling.
Playing in the puddles. The dog, not me.
Yes, I'm here with Pastor Paul Miller and Mayor Robin Jones today to talk about human trafficking. And Espresso Shots tends to be a local kind of show talking about Westport and the Rideau Lakes and maybe a little bit further that out, maybe even Ontario. But we're not into the global kind of topics. But when you look at this topic, it's not a global topic, it's a local topic that's affecting people in local ways that we tend not to see. So before we start, maybe Paul, can you explain what human trafficking actually is?
Yeah, so human trafficking, I had the sense when I heard, because Robin and I last spring attended a function down in Brockville, and I had always thought, oh well, that's people being brought from Asia or from South America or Russia, and into hotels. That this is a Toronto problem, or you hear about it with the Super Bowl, or you hear these things, and so I always thought it was a faraway thing. But human trafficking is really any male or female who's brought into a system where they are kind of commodified. They're a product that is sold, and the shocking thing to me is the reality of the vast majority, over 90% of people trafficked in Canada are Canadian born, and it is, though there is targeting to our LGBTQ younger people and First Nations, it is across the board. It is from every kind of family dynamic, and the people who are caught in it, the one thing they have in common is nobody knew. I kept a great secret throughout it all. So it's not as much global as it is actually local. And
these predators prey on people that are vulnerable, people that have low self-esteem, and the age category, I mean, it can be as low as 11 years old, but it typically is between that 14 and 24 age mark, and you're right, it's mostly women. 16,000 Canadians trafficked, and out of those, 90% of those are Canadian-born people, so that's a huge thing. And Ontario is one and a half times higher than other provinces, so Ontario is a bit of a hotbed for this item, human trafficking. Yeah. So Robin, as in your life right now, in the political life, you're dealing with things, and this is really a federal issue, and it's a provincial issue, and it's a municipal issue. So how do you see things from that angle?
So the presentation that Paul spoke about was actually the first presentation of the United Counties Leeds and Grenville Human Trafficking Coalition. And we started that, the executive director of Leeds and Grenville Victim Services, Sonia Jodane, and I put our heads together last January and knew that we needed to do something locally. So our focus is really on a public awareness and prevention. And at any of the workshops that we have been involved in, the intention is to inform parents, grandparents, caregivers, teenage girls and boys of what some of the things that that those who are trolling to bring young people into the sex trade are looking for, and so that they can build some resilience. And following up what Paul said, nobody tells. So many times afterwards, when the families of the victims are interviewed, or the victim wants to come out of the trade and they start talking about what happened, they kept a pretty good secret. Because it's often, as you said, John, vulnerable young girls and boys who are out in a public place, and that's where these people are trolling for young people. They're on social network, they're on Facebook. When I was growing up, how people assessed whether I was popular or not was not through how many likes I had on Facebook. And so it seems that since that is one of the things that our young people do, people who are trolling for young people can get on Facebook and see when the person is in need, when they're feeling, your word, vulnerable.
Yeah. So Robin, listen, Paul sent me a link to the article, and I forget the news agency, but in there they talked exactly about that. Kids, how many friends do you have on Facebook that you don't know? How many people have one? Everyone puts up their hand. Right. You get up to like 80 or 100 kids. Still kids are putting up their hands. People that they don't know, allowing them into their world, into their life. And that's where, I mean, these people are finding these vulnerable kids.
These people are pros at it. They find the vulnerable kids, they give them presents, they praise them, they do all those things that we hope is happening in their homes. Yeah. And the kids, they're vulnerable.
And this is not a small thing. Like you're talking, this is a large corporate entity. Starbucks, I think the stat was Nike, Starbucks, yeah, and Google don't generate as much money as human trafficking does. 32 billion a year in revenue. Like this is an organized crime here. This is serious stuff.
Very much so.
And we need to protect ourselves through the churches, through the municipalities, yeah, through our friends, through everything we can. So education is definitely key. Yeah. Paul, in the churches, what kind of things are you kind of doing to kind of help kids that maybe have low self-esteem or struggling a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely run youth groups and things like that, and those things are really helpful. But it's one thing to run a program, but when you, so oftentimes people run programs and they try and, you know, overwhelm teens with, oh yeah, we're the most exciting place, and just like, it just fire messages at them and whatever, and our young people are already overwhelmed. They're already just overstimulated and overwhelmed, and to create spaces where you have real conversation, where adults share, like, here's my life.
Right.
Here is, you know, once you honestly share with a group of people, and I find this if I share with teens, if I share with other pastors or whatever, it's like, I always like to start because I will be as vulnerable and honest, but then what that does is it can create a safe place for someone's like, I'm going to take a chance and just share a bit. I haven't shared anything, but just share a piece, yeah, right? And a lot of the training, well, it's also, you definitely have the how to see if you're being trolled, but then also what are the markers that, you know, I'm seeing the change in my friend or my child, I don't really understand, but what are things to look for, yellow and red flags, to say, I think there's something more going on here. And my spider sense tingled, but I didn't have anything for it. To just say, I think I might need to find help for.
Yeah, and just having those open conversations with your kids and finding safe places for them, yeah, to talk. Maybe they're not comfortable talking to the parents. Maybe they're comfortable talking to business people or churches or friends and family.
When people are trapped in something, and the key tool that human traffickers use is shame. Yeah. Right. So they'll get you to send a suggestive picture. Well, now they've got that, right? And yeah, they can hold that over you, and you get deeper and deeper in, yeah, right? Yeah, and so if you can break that cycle of shame, then you're way further down the path.
So back to you, Robin. I know you had a few other thoughts on the topic.
Well, if we can come back to the workshop that we're hosting later this month.
Yes.
Some of the things, I just want to follow up on what some of the things Paul had said, that it's around public awareness and education. So we will have Sonia Jourdain here from Victim Services, and she is a remarkable person, and we really cover it well. But also we bring in other groups that would be people that if young people didn't feel that they could talk at home, there would be a group of people there that they might not approach that day, but there's a door open, whether it's Leeds and Grenville Mental Health, or it's the Victim Services people. The police will be there as well. So it's an opportunity to understand. From my perspective, when we formed the coalition, it needed to be everybody involved. Everybody needed to be in. The Board of Education, the Upper Canada Board of Education, has been phenomenal from day one, understanding that this is important to get into the school. Not so much talking about human trafficking, but more the question that you asked Paul, what do the churches do to help kids raise their self-esteem? So those are the sorts of things that we're working with the school board to get into the curriculum, that when they kind of cover that, be mindful that this is the other issue. So I'm thrilled that Paul volunteered to host the Westport a human trafficking workshop. It's Monday, April the 29th at 7 p.m. And it will be the opportunity for...
And where is it again, Robin?
At the Free Methodist Church.
Yeah, 85 Bedford Street.
Okay.
Right. And we're inviting everybody from sort of the whole Westport, Upper Leeds area, because this is the one that we're hosting, that we're holding here. And it will be, there are videos that we've got from victims. And the closest one I think we have is a young girl from Hawkesbury. Wow. And she'll talk about her experience and how she was pulled into it. You know, that it's not like you said, it's organized crime, but let's keep that, often it is somebody's boyfriend Who gets them involved? The boyfriend needs his drugs. He encourages either the photo, as Paul talked about, or he says to the girlfriend, just this once, could you please? Whether it's go out and turn a trick, whether it's go out and strip. And then, as Paul said, you know, then they're just down that slide. So our purpose in the coalition, and when we talked about hosting this meeting here in town, is public awareness and prevention, and talk about what some of the indicators are so that the conversations can be had with the kids.
I'm glad it's coming up, and because it's something I don't think often about, and I know it's been a public issue with, and I'll probably get the name wrong, but I'll call it Nexus, and that whole thing that has exploded with the same pyramid scheme of women being abused and branded, and it's happened for 20 years, and it's public, and I think these things are good ways of letting people know that this is happening. There are avenues that you can deal with it. Don't be ashamed by it. You're not the only one. People go through things all the time. There are churches, there are public people, there are friends and families around that can help you. So if you're looking for some great information, I would suggest the date again was the
29th, Monday, April 29th, 7 p.m. at the Free Methodist Church on Bedford Street.
And if you are a parent or a teacher, like, come. It is a few hours. And it's one of those things, like we do safe spaces for our church. The sign that we were successful is nothing happens.
Yeah.
And we want nothing to happen to your kids or to your students.
So I have a very important question to ask you. Will there be cookies and donuts?
I don't know about donuts, but there will be treats.
Yes. There will be treats.
So John will be there.
I am going to be there, absolutely. I'm going to make the effort to be there, and I'll bring my son as well, and Cynthia, for sure. Well, thanks for coming over, Robin. I really appreciate having you in.
Thank you.
Paul, again, coming in, and always great to have you on board. So any final words for anybody?
Please take advantage of this opportunity to learn more about an issue that's happening here in Leeds and Grenville, here in North Crosby.
And I'm going to add links in my video like I always say I'm going to. So thanks again.
Cheers.
Awesome, guys.